No, cut. This is my video on how to make a Christmas spider the GrandMomise way. So you learn a nice little tutorial here. Enjoy. So I've chosen my 2 beads. This is my typical spider that I made for Christmas this year, and I tried to make the spiders real pretty legs that go along with the Christmas story. I forgot to mention before, you do need some head pins. Now you don't have to use a head pin, but I like to use a head pin because it leaves a nice flat end on the spider's snout. You can make your own head pin from the wire. So if you had cut a piece of your wire and you wanted to make your own head pin, then all you'd have to do is bend the end of it over a little bit and almost kind of make a loop. I don't know if you can see the, maybe I should make this on black. Well, it's hard to see that, but then you pinch it together. Here's where the extra pair of pliers comes in, but since I don't make this kind of end loop, it makes a squished kind of loop. I don't know if you can see that. And that would prevent that end from coming down through the head bead. This is the head bead. That's the first one that's going to go on. And it would prevent that. Oops, well, see, even that's too small to go through. Now if I use a head pin, that's too small to go through. But if I use one of these end beads that I just got with the stranded beads that I bought, if I put this little bead on first, put it on the hole, then see that stays on the head pin, so now my head bead stays on as well. So that's the head of the body. So then some directions say you make your legs next and you stick them all on there, and you stick the body bead on there so they're like real close together, and then you put the beads on the legs. Well, I found that very difficult. So what I do is actually make my legs first, and then I'll assemble the bead at the very end of the project. So I'll measure with my ruler. This particular spider requires 3 6-inch lengths of wire. So get my clippers. I think there they are. Poo. Here we go. Let's measure it again, just to be sure. And if you're off, you can cut a little bit longer. It doesn't make any difference. It just wastes some of your wire. If you've done this spider before and you know you have exactly the right number of beads to create a leg, which in this case we'll count them, but I think the total project is 138 seed beads, I call them. They call them delica beads on some notes that I've gotten off the internet, and bugle beads. So the bugle beads are 38 and the seed beads are 138. Now these 3 pieces of wire, notice, are already not exactly the same length, but these 3 pieces of wire now become 6 legs, because we're going to join the legs together in the middle of the spider. So each piece of wire, that's now 6 legs. And with this spider design, the front legs closest to the head now is going to be 5 inches, just an inch shorter to make them look more like a real spider body. Now, as I say, some instructions that I've seen on the internet say take all of the wires together and form a loop at the top and then strand them on here and then bead the legs. I found that very difficult to do. Do mine that way. I'll take an individual length of wire that will become 2 legs, And I bend it together enough to kind of put the ends together like this, just so I know where the middle of the wire is. And I'll scrunch these sides together because we're going to end up making a loop at the top. So I take my rounded pliers and insert them into the loop. Now here's the key. If you can get that wire real close to the end of the pliers, you'll make a smaller loop. But it's a little harder to hold on to. If you come up, the rounded part is graduated, so it helps you determine what size loop you need. And I really like a small loop in the center, so I'm going to see if I can do that. So I've grabbed the wire in the middle, and you can see where the wires are I just stick my finger through there, and it bends the wires up towards the pliers. So now I have a loop there. It's just not a finished loop. I'll take that out just so you can see it. It's a loop, but it's not a finished loop. Let's put that back in. Normally you wouldn't take that out. But now I need to finish the loop. So I'm going to twist. I can see that this wire is over top of this wire. And if I twist the wires this direction, and you'll have to determine which direction based on where your loops are, I have now created a closed loop at the top of my wire, or in the middle of my wire, I should say. But that actually now is where I'm going to form the legs. I'll bend these down a little bit, and I can use other pliers to straighten that up and make it nice and straight, because if it were nice and straight, then it goes on the spider well and it doesn't waste space in between the two beads too much. So there's my closed loop. The next thing I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to do all 4 wires that way, and then I'll start beading the legs. I'll decide which color bugle beads and seed beads I want on my legs.